Ah, welcome once again to Denton's Story Time. Hello, I'm a Viking. Well, no, I'm not really a Viking. Oh, yes, well, I mean, I've got the helmet, I've got the shield and the sword, I've got a lovely little axe, and I've got a sax. Oh, that rhymes. I've got an axe and I've got a sax. Yes, I've got all the trappings. I've got Thor's hammer. I blow a war horn and I say Skol regularly. And I say it very well. Yes, I say everything very well for that matter. Well, I mean, that should get me into Valhalla, shouldn't it? If, of course, Valhalla actually existed. But anyway, that's for another video. So, I have all the trappings, but that doesn't make me a Viking, despite the number of people who seem to think that it does. You know, they wear the clothes, they use the names, they name drop the gods frequently, and they say, I'm a Viking, I lead a Viking lifestyle. Yes, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, Ducky, but no, I'm afraid you're not. Well, nor am I. Even if you're a Scandinavian and a pagan, you're still not a Viking, because, well, you'd need one of those. You'd need a ship and somewhere to go in it and something to do when you got to wherever you got to in the ship. And even in the unlikeliness of your having a ship, your options to use it, well, they'd be pretty limited. They really would. You know, you might find burning a monastery or looting a church or raping a few people would make you, well, rather unpopular these days. You know, the police do take a rather dim view of activities like that. And trade regulations, customs requirements, border controls, and such like would rather impede your setting up new colonies abroad. I'm sure you'd break all sorts of EU regulations if you did that. Even 1,000 years ago, you couldn't be a Viking, but you could go Viking, till fara I vikingar, as it was in Old Norse. Because to be a Viking, one had to go and do something elsewhere and do it in a ship. As long as you stayed in Scandinavia and didn't get in a ship, well, you weren't a Viking. No. The term Vikinger, well, it's a bit vague. It could be seen as meaning an adventurer, a seafarer, a pirate, a raider. Yes, even a settler or a trader, someone going abroad to trade, could be seen as a Viking, since they were doing it in a ship, since it was a nautical-related term. They weren't called Vikings in their own time. They were called quite a lot of things, many of them rather obscene. But Viking wasn't a term of nationality. It was an activity. It was something that one could do. It referred specifically to going off in a ship. Terms such as Northmen, heathens, Danes, Norsemen, pagans, and the like were used to describe them. And some pretty rude terms as well, I'm sure. But Viking, well, that didn't come into use in English until centuries after the last longship was nothing more than a pile of dust. So those who like to call themselves Vikings, well, they do seem to need a little clarification on the actual meaning of the word, because nothing they do qualifies them to use it as a personal description. As to the Viking lifestyle, well, simply put, there wasn't one. No. At least other than the obvious fact that a bunch of men trolling along in a ship and thus being Vikings were doing what one did from day to day in the ship. That was a Viking lifestyle, if you like. But that still comes back to the nautical aspect. At home in Scandinavia, they were not Vikings, and thus they were not living a Viking lifestyle. They were living the typical, everyday, non-Viking lifestyle of Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and we can include Frisia in that as well. References to Viking art, Viking culture, or Viking religion are totally wrong. Yes, they're totally wrong. There was no Viking art, culture, or religion. Well, there was plenty of Scandinavian art, culture, and religion. So instead of waving a sword as you shout Skol loudly and say, I'm a Viking, you'd be better wearing the hammer of Thor, holding a horn of mead, and saying, I follow the ways of the Old Norse. Now, the latter you can do, yes. The former, well, Terribly sorry, you can't. Unless, of course, you can get a time machine, go back over 1,000 years, manage to become a Dane, a Swede, a Norwegian, or a Frisian, and borrow a ship to sail off in. Yes, good luck with that one. A good analogy would be that, let's say you met a German hiking through the Schwarzwald, and you asked him or her what they were. They would not say, I'm a hiker. No, they would say, I'm a German. The hiking would simply be an activity they were pursuing at that moment. Ja, das stimmt. So often in historical documentaries, in movies, in so many ways, the word Viking is used as a national identity, like American, French, or Italian, which was completely wrong, giving the impression that, well, they all came from the same place, under one leader, a sort of king of Vikingland, wherever that was. In contrast, the real Vikings came from different countries under a whole gaggle of leaders, and, well, they fought and raided each other just as much as they did anyone else. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and until the next time, I shall say farewell. Until the next time, goodbye.